Come on. They're supposed to fade in there like that and talk about democracy and some other stuff. Oh, yeah, that's what we're talking about today. Okay, so we have 5 topics ready for today, and while we're doing that, we'll be playing Dave Defeat and Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. Let's just jump right in. Get into this. Okay. Start the game. And so first we'll be talking about the basic characteristics of a democracy and supposed misconception of Hitler's National Socialism as a parliamentary democracy. That's the first topic of tonight. All right, let me get to the game here first. Nice fade. That was a nice fade. Thank you. Okay. Connect. We are live. Okay, here we go. Let's get in the game here, and we'll start the introduction. Demos Kratos. Kratos or Kratos? People power? Okay. Baymark? Make sure I say that correctly. You told me, buddy. Alright. Here we go. Let's we played this map last week. Come on, Dirty Harry. That sounds a little too loud for me. Let me turn that down. Okay. All right, let's get into the introduction here. So let's go over some of the basic characteristics that do make up of democracy and its supposed misconception of Hitler's National Socialism. Okay, so introduction. So as you know, democracy, it's derived from the Greek words demos, people, or mob, or collective will. Kratos, power, fundamentally represents a system of government where power resides with the people or folks the mind shaft, either directly or through elected representatives. And if we're talking about direct democracy, that would be Hitler. Okay, it is a multifaceted concept that evolved over a long, long period of time, encompassing principles that ensure freedom by height, equality, and accountability. Well, they say equality under the law. However, the term democracy has sometimes been appropriated or distorted by authoritarian regimes to legitimize the rule. I'm not going to agree with that. It's not distorted. They're just using the basic principles. So supposedly it creates confusion about its nature, but as you'll see, it doesn't. It actually, the characteristics, generally speaking, are always there. Got the flag. Oh no! My essay here will first outline basic characteristics of democracy and drawing on the established political science framework, of course, and then we'll kind of examine Hitler's National Socialism, not socialist. So it's autobite there. The ideology, right? And just talking about mayor and power. I guess we did talk about them before that. Guy's machine gun is really loud. Okay, so in reality, while the National Socialist regime rose to power through mechanisms of the Weimar Republic parliamentary system, and it did, and maintained certain legal facades, it fundamentally subverted democratic principles, transforming Germany into a totalitarian dictatorship. But all democracies, as we'll find out as we go through this, all democracies deteriorate into a totalitarian dictatorship. Hitler's own conceptualization of National Socialist democracy was rhetorical, maybe. That rejected parliamentary norms in favor of authoritarian leadership. But that's kind of, that's what happens. Yeah. Body's leadership. And it allowed the regime to claim the veneer popular legitimacy. And it did. Through elections. They won popular vote throughout the 20s. Okay. So we're going to talk about, are we really conflating democracy process with genuine democratic governance, or are we going to really reveal what it does?
Objective secure!
If you ever read the book Liberty or Equality, you'll see why democracies always have a tendency to go towards authoritarian. So let's explore some of the basic characteristics of okay, so democracies are distinguished by a set of core principles that ensure governance. It reflects the will of the people, the Volksgemeinschaft, the will of the collective people, the majority, while protecting individual freedoms. That's kind of hard to do when you have such thing as the majority principle. Kind of hard to protect individual freedoms when the majority says like 82% vote, 82% win. Preventing concentration of power. I mean, okay, so it is concentrated. Depends on where it's at. We'll get into that later. So these characteristics are not theoretical, all they form practical foundation of a quote stable, inclusive society. Stable? No. Below, I outline key traits synthesized with scholarly. Okay, so we'll get into the perspective of democratic. So it says one of the key principles here to take consideration: citizen participation, government by the people. So citizen participation. That's the one thing people think is different, because anybody can run for public office in this system. But the problem is it attracts, democracies usually attract ideologues, fanatics, pathological sociopaths, people that are very skilled at lying, cheating, and bribery. And because of this idea of the public participation, citizen participation, people think that this form of government we have in America, which has a monopoly on violence, we think this is legitimate because it's, quote, citizen participation compared to a hereditary monarchy. Okay, so at its heart, democracy involves active involvement of all adult citizens in governance. See, that's the thing. You still have, in a monarchy, you still have the idea of kings and queens in a democracy, right? In the monarchy, you have kings and queens, and you have that class distinction, that class consciousness, more pronounced in monarchy. However, in this democracy, when it says all adult citizens in governance, somehow this class consciousness gets kind of blurred over. It's so apparent that it's still there. You still have kings and queens who are running for governor. You still have senators and congressmen. They're like kings and queens. Now, if you get into a direct democracy, that's what it means to totalitarian. Through elected representatives. Well, it turns out your elected representatives don't represent you, as it turns out. They don't represent you. We'll get into that some more. So this includes voting, one man, one vote, public debate. That's funny. In the Weimar Republic, and how Hitler got elected was through voting, public debate, protests, and engagement in civil society. Right. Okay, so Hitler definitely did that. Citizens bear not only rights, but also responsibility to participate. Well, they don't act like they're responsible. They don't take responsibility for their vote. So it fostering informed populace. Well, they're not informed. They're irrational. All voters are irrational. It does not sustain the system. As they'll go into later, that democracy is a god that failed and democracy is bankrupt. uh, financial. So yeah, it's supposed to foster informed populace, but it doesn't. The people are just willfully ignorant. I mean, they may be, they're irrational mostly. They're irrational about most things, but they could be rational about some things, but not everything. So they're kind of rational irrational. So direct participation, yeah, that's the worst kind of democracy. Is direct. You don't want that. Settings like meetings, while larger societies will add representative structure. Representative. Well, they are. Okay, supposedly equality, which Hitler also advocated for equality. He talked about equality in his speeches all the time. Equality of pan-Germanic people only. Non-discrimination against pan-Germanic people. So that democracy demands, well, what a sentence there, that all individuals are treated equally under the law. Well, that doesn't turn out to be true at all. They're not treated equally under the law. The justice is not blind. As clearly the case, we can point out many such cases where the justice is not blind. Let's see. So this principle ensures equal access to rights. At whose expense, right? So equal access to anything, it's always at the expense of somebody else. Usually at the expense of people that are not included in the victim ideology. Victim religion. Voting, legal protections, mandates that every vote carries the same weight. Well, it doesn't. Regardless of social status or wealth. Well, okay. So, and then the other characters is accountability, transparency. Well, that's molto bien. And you see, that's not how many politicians are being held accountable. Well, under Trump, he's holding a lot of them accountable. And look what they did to Trump too before that. So, it doesn't really work out the way they say it here. Okay. So it says we say here that suppose the elected officials must be answerable to the public. Well, that's funny because in North Korea, they are. There's this sort of trade-off between the people and the leader of North Korea, right? The people are really looking at what the leader is doing, and the leader knows he'll be held accountable because he's the only one that's there. But in a democracy, it's so mixed up and so complicated. The bureaucracy is so that politicians can just hide behind the pretext. They just hide behind it and get away with it. So there's no accountability or transparency. So this transparency, we're supposed to have open access to government information. Yeah, right, sure. Decisions and outcomes, no. Enabling voters to make informed choice. Okay, this is just poppycock. They're not informed citizens. As case in point, if you read the book, it reminds me of that book, My Opposition. He was an informed citizen enough to have read Mein Kampf, and he wanted to share his information about what he read to the people before Hitler was elected. And but nobody listened. Most people didn't read Mein Kampf. He was one of the rare people that did, and pointed out to people what was in there and how policies or these ideas might turn out to be bad for everybody. But nobody listened. No one cared. They just call them conspiracy theories. So it turned out well for them. So independent media in civil society expose corruption. Well, it may expose corruption, but it never gets anybody held accountable. Very rarely. So they're not really held accountable, even when they do bad stuff. They don't apologize for it. They show remorse either. It doesn't really ensure officials will be held accountable through elections anyway, because people get reelected. There's other things that are characteristic of democracies, like political tolerance. Well, that's not. You can see in a democracy like America, there's no political tolerance. You have people like Biden who are calling half the country extremists, calling concerned parents about education terrorists. That doesn't sound like very political tolerant. You can quote it many sentences. It doesn't. It's supposed to. The principal characteristic of democracy is supposed to tolerate opposition, but it doesn't. You see apocalypse, cooperation among different groups, you know, especially after Charlie Kirk got there. My lead friend thing. I won't say exactly. Yeah, that's not going to foster cooperation. But if you are sort of like mafia, knocking off people that are different opposition. See, pluralism, recognize that government is just one element in the broader social fabric of independent institutions. Well, that's not true because it still created a democracy in America. It created the biggest government that has a monopoly. So it's not just one element, it is like the element that passes these laws. Okay, so these are just some of the characters I point out, and there's flaws in this, but that's fine. So political tolerance and pluralism, no. Multi-party system, just two-party. It's just two-party. Open competition, oh yeah, not really. Supposedly a healthy democracy, which you don't live in a healthy democracy. Supposed to feature multiple political parties competing freely, but no, you only have two parties, and both parties are pretty much the same thing. With opposition groups able to challenge incumbents. Well, yeah, how does that turn out? This prevents monopolization, but monopolization happens anyway, because if you got the money, if you got big donors that are donating large amounts of money to your campaigning, that'll definitely put the odds in your favor, and end up getting monopoly on. I mean, you supposedly have a two-party system, but it's just pretty much one party. So they have a monopoly on it. And nowadays, this is supposed to encourage debate, prevent monopolization, and encourage debate. Well, you do have debates, and you saw what happened to Charlie Kirk with the debate. Okay, so the other characteristic, I don't agree with these things. Just pointing them out. Control over abuse of power and separation of powers. Well, mechanisms must exist to prevent power abuses. It doesn't. They consolidate power in one over the other, such as dividing authority among branches of government. See, there's three branches, but one of them has more power than the other, and it forces checks and balances. That isn't working. It's not working. Independent courts, and now the courts, you're talking about judges and different kinds of judges, one of two interpretations of the law, and they usually just believe that the law is mutable, you can change it, so change it whatever the condition is or whoever the party is in office, the red gang or the blue gang. Okay, so no entity, including government, stands above the law. Right. Sure. They say that a lot, don't they? Especially nowadays. No one stands above the law. Well, okay. Now here's the thing in contradiction, right? One of the characteristics supposedly of democracy is protection of human rights, minority rights. Well, which minorities? They get decided. The minority group gets decided by the intelligentsia, the anointed ones at the university, who the minority victims are in the victim religion. So protecting human rights. Well, we've been talking about that, where the government shouldn't even be there to protect human rights. The democracy supposedly prioritizes safeguarding human fundamental rights, but doesn't do a good job of it, including freedom of speech. Again, freedom of speech wasn't protected until 100 so years after the Bill of Rights, until 1920s. Assembly, well, you see that's not really working, depending on what state you live in. Religion and equal protection under the law. Well, you don't have equal protection. It's a two-tiered system. Some are protected more than others, depending if you're chosen to be in the circle of victims under the victim religion. Majority rule is balance. I wasn't a spectator. Just Get me back in the game, will you? Yeah. So it's supposed to be balanced with guaranteed minorities. But it doesn't because this contradicts fundamentally what a democracy is, which is ruled by the people, the majority rule, the collective majority. So it's not balanced at all. And it will guarantee some minorities, like Appalachians. Are they insured? Are they guaranteed? How about insured? How about the minority, instead of a minority group, what about minority, the individual, instead of a group? Because the individual is the true minority. But it said, and ensure popular decisions do not infringe on individual liberties. Yeah, we'll see how this turns out when we start getting to the Hitler stuff too. We see how that. You see why he would be calling his democracy.
Thanks for the backup on that one.
Okay, Bill of Rights, Guns of Protection often enshrines these. Well, it doesn't. It's supposed to enshrine it, but it doesn't. Especially individual liberties. Liberty's pretty much dead in America. Free and fair elections. Right. So it's supposed to be free and fair. Now remember, Hitler was elected by majority vote, and it was under free and fair elections. Austria, the Austrians, 90% of Austrians voted for Hitler. So that was free and fair. That was definitely free and fair election. So voters may have access to information. They may have access to information, or do they? Or maybe they just don't want the access. Debating, well, I don't know what you call them, debates. They're not real debates. They're not philosophical or moral debates. They're just debating by talking points, you know, and seeing who gets the most applause and the most claps. So who cares about debates? That's useless. Unless it's philosophical or moral. Oh, and then, of course, the debate results may be accepted, facilitating peaceful power transfers. Right. So if the communists win election, that's fine. Or the National Socialists, they win. Or the Italian fascismo, they win. Yeah. Peaceful transfer of power. Hey, Mussolini did that after he was fired by Victor Emmanuel, put in the ambulance to leave. There was a peaceful transfer of power between Mussolini and his successor. And Mussolini wrote a letter to his successor, congratulating him, and said, well, best of luck to you. So there was a peaceful transfer of power, and the Grand Council of Fascism, unbeknownst to the Grand Council of Fascism, that Mussolini was fired by Victor Emmanuel, the Grand Council of Fascismo, I'm saying it correctly, you're supposed to say it the other way, voted Mussolini out by 9-3, majority vote. So hey, that was a peaceful transfer of power. All right, rule of law. It depends. It says, supposedly under democracy, laws apply equally to all, but no. See how that's put into practice. Some more equal than others. Enforced consistently by independent institutions. Well, how independent? And it depends on what kind of, you know, it depends on what kind of interpretation. Okay. So these are all supposed to be characteristics. We're just going by. Okay, then we have economic freedom. Civic responsibility. Duty. Responsibility. Duty. Individuals should have autonomy in economic pursuits. Well, they should have, but do they? Yeah. Maybe. Such as career choices. Well, they do. While education centers ensures informed participation, but they're not. They're willfully ignorant. They're willfully informed. Democracies commit to values like tolerance. Well, no. Compromise to resolve conflicts nonviolently. No. The government has a monopoly on violence. So how can you have a nonviolent resolution to a conflict? The government has like a mafia, you know? Yeah. So you can see how these characteristics can be so twisted and manipulated. And you can see how anybody that falls under these characteristics can be considered democracy. Hitler's democracy, Stalin's democracy. Remember, under all of these characteristics we just talked about, communism is considered peak democracy. So supposedly, the characters are supposed to distinguish democracies from other systems. Well, emphasizing all the stuff we talked about, but it doesn't really distinguish itself, well, from any authoritarian or totalitarian. Forms like direct democracy, which is not the one you want, representative democracy, sort of, parliamentary president embody these traits, adapting this societal scale. See how the scale will be tipped, and how you will use the same principles that you can use in Hitler's National Socialism. The same principles back. So let's see how this works out. So we know the historical context of the German National Socialist rise to power. So if you want to understand Hitler's National Socialism, I recommend a book by Ziedelman called Hitler's National Socialism. So Hitler's National Socialism was the parliamentary democracy. You guys understand. We all know the origins of the Weimar Republic, right? 1919, 1933. One thing you have to consider that the Weimar Constitution, right, was never abolished under Hitler's tenure. He was still, the Constitution was still there, still being used. Oh, come on. Okay. So the Weimar Republic was a parliamentary democracy. If you want to hear an example of the parliamentary democracy under Hitler, go find a speech in 1933 he did in the parliament, in the Reichstag there. He's talking about the Enabling Act, the debate he got in with the deputy of the Reichstag. That's very interesting. You see how he got into this debate, responded to the criticisms by the deputy. Yeah, that's like 3 hours long, but it's definitely worth listening to because it sounds like anything you would listen to in the British Parliament. Debate. It's very interesting. Lapse. Okay. So, Parliament. So the Weimar Constitution provided a federal system with the president or chancellor and Reichstag Parliament that's been elected via proportional company. Yeah, proportional is different than representative. Proportion, if you have the right numbers, you have a party, basically. And it created civil liberties, universal suffrage, and multi-party composition. Now, this multi-party competition was something Hitler complained about all the time in his early speeches. Go watch those and listen to those and read them. But the economic stuff that happened, right? Do I have to go through that again? The Great Depression, blah, 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 and all that stuff. And enabled the supposedly emergency powers under the Article 48 Constitution, whatever again. So the National Socialists, those Arbeiter Party, ran an NSDAP, the German Workers' Party. Now, I'm not going to go into the different changes of that and who invented that and where it came from. Rudolf Jung would be the guy you can start reading about that. But Hitler did not invent the NSDAP. So we know that party wanted to overthrow the republic violently, as in the Kottbus, but it failed. And so Hitler, and this is important, he pivoted away from the violent and recognized that the violent way to do it was wrong, and he decided to do a legal strategy. And right, he participated in elections, and would be to change the government from within. And there's famous quotes there from Hitler where he says, if you wish to change democracy, you do so with democracy during democracy. Notice how he says with democracy. That's important to consider. Think about what we're talking about, democracy. He did it with democracy. And he continues on with the speech where he says, if you want to destroy democracy, do so through its own insanity. And remember, they didn't abolish the Constitution. So they started. So they started to gain seats in the Reichstag. Started growing, right? By 1930, it was like 37%. July 32, becoming the largest party. They used all the standard things that even democracies use. Propaganda. Well, I don't know about paramilitary violence. Very little. His revolution was bloodless to power, and he targeted appeals to abroad to get that. Let's see. So eventually, he was led to chance. Let's see. So his rise occurred using democracy. He used democracy. But we know once in power, he started dismantling it, but the Constitution was still there. He did all that stuff supposedly after the Reichstag fire. All that stuff, suspended civil liberties, arrest of opponents in concentration camps. Well, they arrest opponents in American democracy. Yeah, look what they did to Trump. They raided Mar-a-Lago, arrested, and then they booked him. He's got his booking photo in the White House. So yeah, they do the same thing. Why not? Then we talk about the Enabling Act. And go watch that speech he gives, or that debate he has with the deputy. So they decided to use that Enabling Act to pass laws without Parliament, effectively any democracy. Well, wasn't. But what does it take to really pass laws in American democracy? Don't they pass don't they have a way to circumvent that where they have those executive orders? Isn't that kind of doing that without Parliament? Because those executive orders they sign. Well, of course they have to pass the laws, but the Supreme Court will just kind of go along with whoever's in power. And the thing about democracy, which makes it just as bad as the communist socialist regime, is that once they pass these laws or executive orders or they become laws, they're very, very difficult to get rid of. They're easy to put in, but very hard to get rid of. So by 93, they banned the other parties, and they had that thing called Gleichschaltung, synchronization, and it aligned all the institutions with the National Socialist ideology. Well, that happened in democracy too, in the institutions. What are the institutions aligned with? Yeah, that woke shit. Yeah, the house. I mean, they just get in the power. I mean, look at Wikipedia too. They just get a bunch of gangs of Marxists in there and curate certain sections, and they gain the power. And they try to get everybody in line too. Okay, so we know what happened after he becomes chancellorship. Okay, anyway. So let's talk about let's get to the meat of the thing here. Here's this concept of national socialist democracy. Yeah. Okay. He considered his National Social Democracy in a Germanic form different or a little bit than Jewish democracy. Talking about parliamentary systems. Marx, let's see. Here's something that's interesting. Marxism and Western liberalism, which he claimed enabled Jewish manipulation via media and election. So he had, he evolved these two phases over the course of years. Anyway, let's get to them. So he's got these first phase here, 1920, 1925. He promoted Germanic democracy. I bet you they followed a lot of the characteristics he was talking about.
So he promoted Germanic democracy, rooted in
traditions where leaders were acclaimed by the people, not elected through divisions, parliamentary votes. Acclaimed by the people. Leaders were acclaimed by the people. Yeah, the people, the majority vote. But isn't that the majority vote if they're claimed by the people? Isn't that kind of the same thing? Majority vote, claimed by the people voted. 50%, over 52% of the country voted and won. Then claimed by the people. So he envisioned his leader elected via plebiscite or acclamation, right? Embodying unified national will. Yeah, unified national will. A unified national will, isn't that the same kind of as the will of the people? Maybe so. I don't know. Unified national will without parties or promotional representation. Let's see in his book, of course. He says the Germanic democracy of old days was based on an acclamation of a leader chosen by the free will of the people. Well, how about that? He says so in Mein Kampf. The Germanic democracy of old or new was based on an acclamation leader chosen by the free will of the people. This rejected chatter parliament. So it's democracy. Chosen by the free will of the people. Hitler's quote about Germanic democracy. How is that any different than what we described earlier? So we call it the Volksgemeinschaft or Volksherrschaft. So the second phase goes on here to the Volksherrschaft. People's rule. How about that? People's rule. What was the definition of democracy? Demoskratos. Abandoning the election as manipulative. So instead, the leader intuitively enacted the eternal Volkswille, people's will. That's the same thing. People's will. And you see that with the
Antifa too. They make that chatter too. They make that they spray paint on like bridges
where it says, when there's people, there's power. When there's Volkswille, people's will. Combined with the mystical racial essence exclusive to Aryan Germans. Yeah, that mystical blood. Yeah, the Teutonic soul. Plebiscites were dismissed as Jewish tools. True democracy meant absolute rule by the leader, but the leader embodied the will of the people. The will of the people is not expressed in the plebiscite. It is the eternal will. It is the internal will of the Volk, which fear alone can fulfill. Yeah, he embodies the people. And this court aligns with this other thing, the Führerprinzip, leader principle, rendering institutions obsolete. Well, I mean, you can still have institutions. But remember, it was the intelligentsia and the institutes who were promoting National Socialism, German National Socialism. So you can say that the concept was racially exclusive. But as you can see how these democratic principles will lead to, if it's socialism, it'll lead to anti-Semitism and totalitarianism. But of course it's different starting for parliamentary democracies. Because what does America have? Does it have parliamentary democracy? It's not really parliamentary democracy. The will of the people. So let's go on here. Why Hitler's National Socialism was considered a parliamentary democracy. It could still be considered parliamentary with that one difference. Okay. So we all know that German National Socialists ascended in this parliamentary mechanism by voting. People voted for it. Then he was promoted as chancellor legally. That was on. The party won seats through elections, right? No, it was bloodless. So the party won the seats through election. And people say, well, it wasn't through violence and propaganda, but isn't it always? What is it nowadays? People getting it, kind of shuffled off against their will, mortal will. And what gives any democracy its legitimacy, or the illusion of its legitimacy, is the illusion that anybody can run for office. Anybody, but usually the people that run, we discussed, are demagogues, fanatics, ideologues, pathological sociopaths. Those are the kind of people that are attracted to it because they know where the resources and money are. So they use the same tactics. They use violence and propaganda. What do you think 2020 was with those riots? Wasn't that a form of violence to manipulate elections? Well, the Reichstag regime maintained its legitimacy like Reichstag reduced the rubber stamp body and staged plebiscites. Sure. Stalin means referendum on Hitler's leadership with 90% approval under. Yeah, so 90% approval. Let's go Avalanche. Let's play Avalanche. Play that one again. Play that one. So he used legal means to give their actions the symbol legality. Of course they did. Of course they did. The Gleichschaltung process eroded democracy. But that's what happened in the universities, the institutes in America. There's Gleichschaltung. And they have struggle sessions in America, too. Someone says something, like a CEO said something they shouldn't say, and then they have a struggle session behind closed doors. And they quote change their mind. Say, okay, so Hitler's rhetoric, right, framed his National Socialism as a true democracy under the Volkswirtschaft, which is true. The regime claimed that the claim to embody the people more authentically than decent parliamentary. Yeah, well, if he's embodying the people, that would go in line with the characteristics of democracy we're talking about. Okay, so he says here that in 1928, he quotes here. I have a quote here. It says, "In the National Socialist state, the Volk rules through its Führer, right? Who is the guardian of its eternal will. It is the only true democracy." Yeah. The Volksgemeinschaft, where unity under Führer suppressed flawed elections. But they had unity. It was the will of the people. And it wasn't through force. It was democratically elected. And he kept running. So, yeah. Oops. But here's the thing, right? And that may reveal a fallacy about applying democracy's characteristics here. However, he says there are no multi-party systems. He may have banned the parties in 1933, but the thing is, we only have pretty much one party, though, in a sense. We have all the other parties that run just don't have a chance. Dude, you don't have you don't have real multiple parties. You just have the red gang and the blue gang. That's pretty much just like one party.
What's the difference?
Not much. So they had rule of law. Well, they had human rights for Germans, for the will of the people. But look at of course, you talk about the prosecution that happened there. But who are the people you're prosecuting in American democracy? Yeah. Just think about the people you're prosecuting. So it doesn't matter who you're prosecuting, is that you're prosecuting people. High-profile politicians are being prosecuted. So you do have prosecutions.
Same thing.
No accountability. You don't have that. American democracy. Think about it. Think about some of these leaders, these politicians. Yeah, their accountability. Yeah. It's funny. Mussolini had accountability. They voted him out, and the king, Victor Emmanuel, fired him. No tolerance. Well, you got the same thing. You got the same thing. Sure, on paper, the characteristics of democracy sound all great and everything, but it ends up being the same thing. No different. So yeah, would it turning Germany into a single party totalitarian state? I mean, that's pretty much what California is. Well, this is what I just, yeah, so we talked about Hitler's quote about how we use democracy only to destroy. We use democracy with democracy to destroy democracy. We destroy democracy. Proportional, okay. So anyway, so, we still should consider National Socialism to be a kind of democracy, and it would be a Germanic democracy. Absolutely, it still falls within the characteristics, and it's, as we discussed, kind of, you see what's happening in American democracy. A lot of that stuff happens here too. That happened over there, not so late, not so severe. But the thing is, you know, what we're talking about here. What happens? All these characters of democracies are always there. They're not sleeping. They're always used, and they can easily be turned into a totalitarian state. Democracies aren't immune from that. In fact, they encourage it. Okay. All right. Scroll down. Okay. I think we're done with that. Okay. Now let's get to the part I want to get to. Another topic is the incompatibility of liberty and American democracy. And here's what we're talking about. This is right up our alley. This relates to what we're just talking about. So, like we said before, the pantheon of the American political ideals. These all characters we talk about are just ideals, heavenly, dream ideals. Liberty and democracy are often invoked as separate twins. However, foundation to any nation's identity, right? So we know about the Declaration of Independence proclaiming unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what anarchism is. While the Constitution establishes a framework for representative government that many equate with democratic principles. Yet, as we will soon find out upon closer scrutiny here, the two concepts, liberty, understood as the individual's freedom from coercion, interference. And do you have freedom from coercion? I mean, you have the mass immigration, which is pretty much coercive. It's forced integration. Ah, there's a guy up there. There you go. Okay, so, okay. So American democracy characterized by majority rule. Hey, the will of the people, the Volksgemeinschaft, embodied in the leader. Through electoral process. Just talked about that. And this is what we're going to talk about, profound tensions here. So we will argue here, I will say here, that liberty is fundamentally incompatible with American democracy. Yep. Democracy by its nature empowers majorities to enforce their will on minorities. Even you can collectivize a minority and put them in a giant circle of minorities that are victims in the victim religion, and that's your majority circle, your
majority of minorities that have been collectivized via the intelligentsia and the people in the universities who have been, universities have been like shelter in sync now with the ideology. So yes, the majority impose their will on the minority, often at the expense of individual freedoms. Yes. So tell me how this couldn't just turn into a Hitler democracy easily. The characteristics and the attributes are already there. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. So, yes, we talked about the safeguards of the Bill of Rights to mitigate these issues, but they ultimately prove insufficient against the industrial pull of the majoritarian tyranny, the will of the people, the Volkswille. The majority tyranny. So to frame this discussion here, is liberty here refers to negative liberty, which is what we want. The abuse of external constraints on individual action, as articulated by thinkers by John Locke, right? And it encompasses personal autonomy, property rights, Freiheit, freedom from arbitrary government power. American democracy, meanwhile, is not pure direct democracy. You don't want that, but a representative republic with democratic, almost a demonic element, democratic element. Elections, popular sovereignty. There's that sovereignty word. Back to British Rome. And policy making influenced by public opinion. However, and there's however, caveat. Lexi de Tocqueville, I'm not saying his name right, observed, I mean, you've read his book, I hope, Democracy in America. This system harbors the tyranny of the majority, yes. It's hidden. It subjugates individual rights to collective preferences. Well, that sounds like Hitler shit, don't it? Well, I'm going to keep exploring these dynamics through historical analysis here. Some theoretical critiques, right, and contemporary examples demonstrating that democracy, equality, and collective decision-making are And don't forget that the founding fathers here, and this is important here, hatred, violence towards, violent hatred, benevolence toward democracy. So we know that the founding fathers, American, were actually aware of democracy's potential to undermine liberty. Yes. Far from embracing unfettered democracy, they designed the Constitution to prioritize liberty over popular rule. How'd that turn out for you? Not too good, did it? James Madison in Federalist Number 10 warned of the dangers of factions, majority groups that could oppress minorities through democratic means. Yes. He also advocated for a Republican system with checks and balances, such as separation of powers and federalism. What happened with that? Yep. To prevent the violence of faction from trampling individual rights. But what happened? The opposite. How did that happen? So these designs here reflects deliberate effort to insulate liberty from democratic excess, suggesting an inherent incompatibility. Yeah, the Constitution itself was crafted to further the cause of liberty, not of democracy, right? Really, the original guys were anarchists. Features like electoral colleges, lifetime judicial appointments, and cooking. And the Senate's original indirect election were anti-democratic mechanisms. That was intended to curb the majority impulses, right? So the Bill of Rights there was added as sort of a concession for the anti-federalists, explicitly protecting individual liberties against government intervention. Didn't turn out that way.
implying that democracy alone cannot be trusted to safeguard them. No shit. Huh. Yep. Like we're going to check, see here. Yet even these protections have eroded or have been eroded over time. So, like for example, the 17th Amendment direct election of senators democratizes the upper chamber, amplifying majoritarian pressure groups, as Leonard Peikoff calls them, diminishing its roles as check on popular spur. So we have some historical examples, episodes to illustrate this sort of tension here. In the early republic, according to Fisher Ames, in his 1805 essay, The Dangers of American Liberty, critique the excesses of the democratic liberty, arguing that unchecked popular sovereignty led to instability and the erosion of ordered freedom. So you can go into slavery and racial exclusive, provided sort of these examples, stark examples here that the democratic process tried these injustices. As majorities in southern states, as some northern states too, at the federal level, deemed certain groups incompatible with American democracy. So we have the dreaded Scott decision in 1857, upheld by democratically influenced judiciary, declared slaves unfit for citizenship, prioritizing majority prejudices over universal liberty. Continues today. These instances reveal how democracy, when aligned with prevailing sentiments here, legitimizes the suppression of minority freedom. Yeah. Gee, almost sounds like Hitler was using the same kind of principles, now wasn't he? I told you this is related to that. Even under Stalinist regime, communism was considered a democracy. North Korea is considered a democracy by these very same attributes. Nice. So at the tyranny of the majority, democracy's structural assault on liberty. At the heart of the incompatibility lies the concept of the tyranny of the majority, right? A phrase popularized by Tocqueville. I might be saying his name right. That's fine. He described how in the democratic societies like America, the majority's omnipotence creates a subtle despotism, right? That stifles dissent and individual autonomy. However, unlike a monarchical tyranny, this form is insidious, operating through social conformity and legal mechanisms rather than over force. What the hell's the difference? That's my point there. What the hell's the difference? But we can get into the... Oh, Grenada. We can get into the differences. Hereditary monarchy. In American democracy, elected majorities can enact laws that redistribute property, collectivization, regulate personal behavior, oh Jesus, and curtail speech, all in the guise of common good, the Volksgemeinschaft. So you can see how Hitler just used democracy to destroy democracy, and that's the point. So that's why he called his ultimate democracy German democracy, because, yeah, he's just using the same assets and attributes that you described. We described earlier. And the tyranny continues to manifest structurally, of course, in other ways. Like, first, democracy prioritizes equality over liberty. Yeah, we don't want equality. Often conflating the two, of course, as this analysis here, that, for example, the moderate pursuit of liberty is incompatible with preserving basic equalities, and vice versa. Progressive taxation, of course, affirmative action, which is racist. Those are racial policies. Welfare programs that don't benefit the welfare recipient. Products of democratic majorities, right? Do force aim to equalize outcomes, but infringe on property rights and voluntary exchange. It never equalizes anyway. Who wants to equalize? We'll get into that too later. So the second here, representative democracy, right, amplifies special interests, where lobbying or pressure groups and vote trading lead to policies that benefit organized majorities at the expense of dispersed individuals. Yeah. And we go back to James Madison's factions evolve into modern interest groups, pressure groups, using democratic process to extract rent, impose regulations that limit economic. Use democratic process. Hitler did the same thing. He used democratic process. Remember, he didn't abolish the Constitution. That's something that you have to remember. That's a very important thing. That Hitler did never abolish the Weimar Republic's Constitution. So like, for example, recently you talk about gun control laws in states like California reflect urban majorities overriding rural minorities, right? Second Amendment rights, yeah, absolutely. And of course, we know famous cases of civil liberties during crisis, such as the internment of Japanese, Germans, and Italians during World War II, or even post 9/11 surveillance under the Patriot Act. So that all demonstrates how democratic governments, responsive to fear majorities, readily sacrifice individual freedoms on majority rule, inherently risk oppressing minority, the individual, rendering it incompatible with absolute liberty. Absolutely, of course. And don't forget, your democracy is now bankrupt.
American democracy didn't last very long. 200 years, it's bankrupt already. In hereditary monarchy, how long those things last? Like 1,000 years or something? They didn't bankrupt so fast. You're already bankrupt. You got no money.
Nice. Okay, so, well, let's go into the libertarian critique, which is up my alley. A democracy is coercive and inefficiency, of course. So our libertarian thought provides a robust, and we're going to provide the philosophical framework when we talked about last time, for understanding this incompatibility. So libertarians, we prioritize individual liberty above all, right? Viewing democracy as a flawed system that institutionalized coercions. Institutionalized coercion. As one libertarian form asserts that all forms of democracy are inherently flawed and are systems of rule that reduce liberty. Again, Peter Thiel, can't say his name, a prominent libertarian thinker, right, goes further. I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible. This stems from democracy's violation of the non-aggression principle. We talked about this last time, where majorities forcibly enforce taxes, regulations, and mandates on unwilling individuals, right? I don't know, doesn't sound much different than Hitler's stuff.
Or Stalin.
It really sounds like they're really using democracy. And you continue here with the critique that democracy is unjust because it treats political questions as collective decisions rather than individual choices, right? Collective, Volksgemeinschaft, Volkswirtschaft. In a free market of ideas and actions, liberty allows voluntary associations. Yeah, voluntary association, we talked about that last week. Democracy, however, compels participation and obedience. That doesn't sound any different than Hitler.
My goodness. How about that? I guess that in that book,
Equality and Liberty by Eric von whatever his name is right. The characteristics that we describe and the assets of democracy are always there, and they're always used, and they just use them to abuse their power. So, moreover, democracy is inefficient. Voters are rationally ignorant. Yeah, that's right. There's a book called The Irrational Voter I recommend reading that goes into rational irrationalism. Rationally ignorant, leading to policies that favor short-term gains over long-term freedoms, yes, such as deficit spending or protectionist trade barriers. And so the guy like Hans Hermann Hoppe
advocated, and if you advocated for alternatives like private governance or secession, where individuals can vote with their feet rather than ballots, preserving liberty throughout majority interference. Now, he advocated for those little, he advocated for the Liechtensteins, the little covenant community. Breaks it up in there, but I don't know. It's better to be Iceland. They had a private government. So in this American context, our critiques here have highlighted how democracy expands government beyond constitutional limits. Yes. And, the New Deal's regulatory state. Oh, my goodness. Going to that, what happened there during the New Deal. My goodness, that just wrecked the economy. Justified by democratic mandates during the Great Depression. They did. I mean, if you want to call someone close to a dictator, Roosevelt was it. That was centralized power. When they had surplus cows and milk, they just dumped the milk and they just butchered the cows. And it's created more starvation. Yeah, famine. How about that? Sounds like communism. So it centralized the power. It definitely did. And a lot of those regulations are still in place, too. Like rent control, price control stuff. God. That just ravished the economy. I would say, based on what we know now about Roosevelt, he was probably one of the worst presidents. Okay. So it centralized the power economically. Today, so the debates they talk about now is healthcare, environmental regulations, tech censorship, illustrate the adpocalypse, how democratic processes enable government overreach. Yes. Sounds like Hitler. Often under bipartisan majorities. Bipartisan, right. Or bipartisan, two-party system. Or one-party system. Enable government overreach. Okay. So libertarians here contend that true liberty requires minimizing democratic influence or abolish it, perhaps through radical decentralization or narco-capitalism, which I advocate for, as democracy inevitably devolves into mob rule. Oh, yeah, that's who rules North Korea, mob. And that's exactly what it's a democracy. That's democracy is the thing. So the conclusion is liberty and American democracy are incompatible because the latter majoritarian essence, the Volksgemeinschaft or the Volkswirtschaft, encroaches on the former's individualistic core, violates self-interest. From the founders' caution architecture to Tocqueville's warnings and libertarian indictments, the evidence is compelling. Democracy empowers collectives to limit personal freedoms, whether through laws, norms, or institutions, while Americans' hybrid system tempers pure democracy. It's not doing a good job. It cannot eliminate the tension, right? To achieve true liberty, society must transcend democratic paradigms and embrace the voluntarism. And some people are minarchists, minimal state. I don't want a minarchist state. I just want to abolish it. There's no state. In an era of the polarization, we recognize this incompatibility, or I do, is crucial. At least we sacrifice freedom on the altar of majority will. Sounds like Hitler got himself a democracy. So as you can see, we set up the characteristics of what democracy is, and we show how Hitler had his democracy. Stalin has his democracy. They all had their democracies. Let's see. Okay, I have some more topics, but I think I covered the main one. I'll save the other one for next time, because I wanted to talk about would have been preferable to live under British Empire than adopt the current American democracy. That relates to ours. I mean, yeah, some obvious things you can point out that would have been beneficial to stay under the empire, like abolishment of slavery. Yeah. All right. So I think let's continue to play here. Let's go play Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. We'll get to the preferable continue part 2. All right. I like the average view, 10 seconds. Well, all right. So let's switch over here, and there he is, celebrating his liberty, his liberation. Okay, so let's go play some Wolfenstein, enemy territory, and we'll finish up the night. I don't know if I want to keep going with those. Let's see. With the other topics. So that is related to what we've been talking about, but that should be separate anyway, because that is kind of a separate topic, but it is kind of related. So we'll do that next week. All right. Let me get to the server here. Join the Fearless Assassin server next. E.T. Beach. Make our way here. Let's see. I'll be a medic. How many people? The same.
Dynamite planted.
Dynamite.
Capture the forward bunker. Forward bunker reclaimed.
Did this match just?
Capture the forward bunker. Dynamite planted.
Yep.
Forward
Yep.
bunker reclaimed.
Where is it? I count. That counts as a headshot. How you doing? Oh, what Alice Cooper's in that locker room.
Dynamite
Right.
planted. They have to destroy the side entrance.
You have it. Well, he may have destroyed the side entrance. Will you stop spamming the damn grenade? So that's it for our topic today. So in a way, the conclusion is, yeah, Hitler definitely used democracy to establish his Germanic democracy. And he called it democracy because there are a lot of the attributes of a democracy were still there, with some minor alterations. That's why the Constitution was kept. Weimar was still kept. I can't open it. I'm gonna eat these cookies before it gets too late. 3 delicious cookies.
Command post constructed. Too many airstrikes requested.
We're gonna do another model build this Sunday too. Hope you enjoy that.
They have captured the forward bunker. Forward bunker reclaimed. They have damaged our command post.
How did I? Oh, give me a break here.
Great shot. Forward bunker reclaimed. They have captured the forward bunker. Command post constructed.
Killing spree.
Let's see. Oh, Dunka.
Great shot.
The old classic map,
Sorry.
and we're
9. Negative.
all the chairs are gone. Mission accomplished. That shader's missing.
They have damaged our command post. Forward bunker reclaimed.
Yeah, what happened to that guy from last week, Eric Schmidt?
Forward bunker reclaimed. They have constructed a command post. You're welcome. They have captured the forward bunker. You're welcome.
All right. I wasn't not talking. I was just eating. All right, here we go. Let's take this seriously. Let's pay the objectives here.
Forward bunker reclaimed.
Oh, what the?
Forward bunker killing spree. They have captured the forward bunker. Forward bunker reclaimed. They have captured
This
the
map is usually pretty easy for the Allies.
incoming. Great shot. Forward bunker reclaimed. Killing spree. Go into cover. 9. They have captured the forward bunker.
Okay.
Construct the command post.
No, I thought someone was hiding behind that railgun. Medic. I can't construct a command post. I'm not an engineer. Huh? That he's. There you go.
Command post.
Got ourselves a command post.
Captured the forward bunker. Objective taken. Objective secure.
Take that. Come on, syringe. Yeah. Whoops. No.
Forward bunker reclaimed.
Ah. Oh.
Great shot. They have captured the forward bunker.
Yeah, so like Hitler wanted that majority rule. Yeah.
Bunker reclaimed. They have captured the forward bunker. They have constructed a command post. Great shot.
Okay. I don't know. Anybody have the objective yet? No one has the documents.
That's a shame.
Incoming. Killing spree. 9. Killing spree. Objective taken.
Oh.
Infiltrate. Objective secure.
Oh, they did get it. Come on. I hate playing defense.
Go undercover. Killing spree. Lost.
What?
Killing spree.
What do you mean objective lost?
Construct the command post. They have constructed a command post.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Hello. Need a medic. Great shot.
Oh. What do we have here? Someone killing?
Killing spree. Killing spree.
Mm-hmm.
Great shot.
Man,
Medic. Need a medic.
that was.
Construct the command post.
Ah, there's a covert ops somewhere.
Go undercover. Need a medic. Too many airstrikes requested.
Hmm.
Have constructed a command post. Killing spree.
Not too exciting, is it? Not much is going on here. Just running up and down the steps.
Killing spree.
Oh, I thought, oh. You need some medicine.
Killing spree.
Got a couple of headshots in there.
Oh yes. Incoming. Need a medic. Killing spree.
Airstrikes. Artillery.
Objective taken.
Well, someone got it. Hey, that was mine. How dare you take my double kill?
Rampage. Secure.
Ah, got the documents back.
Objective taken.
Spacebar.
Incoming. Incoming.
Ah, they got it. Oh no. ET Doe 6. Ah,
Goodbye.
what does it do?
Good game.
That's disappointing.
Good game.
Don't read the don't read the text. Sorry if I was slurring my speech. I was reading it. So see, look at this. You spawn in. There's 1, 2, 3 tunnels here. Which way do I go? We're faced this way. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to go. I see another tunnel down there. That's poor level design. 'Cause I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I just face this way and I see, huh? Did I go this way? Why do I go this way? What happens? This tunnel looks the same. Yeah, it's just kind of. Then it goes over here. I don't know where I'm going. I'm lost. Can we go on the air ducts like Sam Fisher? Didn't it?
Don't let them capture the forward bunker.
Let's follow Walter. Maybe he knows where to go. See, these tunnels are just. Oh, this leads out over here. Why?
First blood.
Yeah. I hate these walls. They just look so bad.
Good game. Constructed.
Ah, I'm gonna get hit by a. Damn it. How long does this one last? 15 minutes? Oh, did they add time? Look at the cave entrance there. It's just a big square. Look. There's quite a big bevel here. This looks off. Look at the texture. It looks off here. And then this one's not visible. And then the other side, it's hidden by the hole. It's just cut a hole. Yeah, that's just it's poor level design. And it's just clever. Then they have a cave entrance up there. Just another big giant square. Got Zulu.
I need backup.
Whoa.
Great shot.
Yeah. I guess no one, I got one like. No activity though.
Dynamite planted.
Guess that guy gave up.
Great
I thought maybe he'd come back, maybe bring his friends and troll me. Was ist das? What is this?
They have damaged our command post.
I don't
Construct
get
your
it.
command post.
Just cut squares and
Objective destroyed.
nah, the lung. Ah, there we go. They got it. They won. Huh? I thought they. What the hell? I thought they blew up that big giant.
Go undercover.
Double kill.
Big deal.
Engineer. Yes. Great shot.
Whoa. I thought. Okay, I thought that was the final objective, blowing up that giant heat sink.
They have captured the forward bunker.
Killing spree.
We're supposed to spawn in here. Yeah, we spawn there. And then we go down. Where was the heat sink at? To find that giant heat sink. Ah. Is this the... No. God, this is so confusing. There's just everything just... Okay, that's where we spawn.
Assault ramp constructed.
No, open dead inside. Okay, no. Where is that room?
Negative.
Oh, is this it? Yeah, here it is. Supposed to blow that big ugly thing up.
Minute lost. Minute lost.
Minutes lost. Oh. I think the model build would be more successful in this
Yes.
stream because I'm going to build another Gundam Z unique model.
Where to?
Okay.
There to. Where to?
I don't know.
Great shot.
Okay, so this gets boring now. Nothing happens here, just waiting.
We need an engineer.
Nice. Mortar round got me from inside there. Nice.
Killing spree.
On it. What is that? What? Who's shooting and what? Why?
Great shot. Danke, sir. Jawohl. Need a medic.
Oh.
Yeah. Go undercover.
Why?
Affirmative. Go undercover. Kein Problem. Great shot. Sehr gut.
Get your stroid in here. Okay, we got about like 30 minutes left.
Killing spree.
Incoming! Incoming! Incoming!
Oh, that's what I don't like this map. I don't like any of these ET Doe maps. They're just like this, just big, bulky, blocky things. And it just takes forever. Oh, I finally got him. Finally got the lung. Whew. Nice.
Whoops. Great shot.
Again, mortar round inside the tunnel.
Whoops. Dynamite planted.
Wow, did they finally plant it on the motor pump? Finally.
I need ammo.
Maybe that'll end it. We'll get to another map. No, we don't need an engineer. Don't disarm it either.
We need an engineer.
Here, I'll supply the dynamite with. Here you go.
Rampage.
Let's give the dynamite some health pack. Yay! Oh, gold rush. Oh, God.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Baby. Oh yes.
They just fire mortars? I don't see him destroying anything.
Good game. 9.
All right. Just wait here until the map transitions.
Prepare to fight. First blood.
Wunderbar. Great shot. Danke. There too. Gewürz covered up. He covered up. Yes. Don't let them steal the tank. Construct the command post.
Okay.
No. Just go.
Let's go here. Wait a minute. Let me see the.
Killing spree.
Okay. Well, we're down. We're down one, so I guess we'll just have to. Yeah, get mowed down by a.
Great shot. Great shot. Great shot.
Yeah, it's just like Dave defeat guys.
Repaired the tank.
Okay.
Loaded the tank. Construct the tank barrier.
Yeah, this will be over soon.
They have constructed a command post.
Unless they balance teams.
Killing spree.
No. Need a medic.
Oh yeah.
Danke.
You didn't met. Oh God.
Great shot.
Nice.
Great shot. Great shot. Great shot.
There you go. No hope. Jesus.
No.
Okay, so this guy's gonna be spamming mortars. The way they did that arch was correct.
Killing spree.
Oh yes. Great shot. The tank is past the first barrier.
Mm-hmm. You have to get past the second barrier.
Great shot.
Yep.
Great shot. We need an engineer.
Killing spree.
Come on. Look at the damn mortars.
Great shot.
We have damaged the tank.
Killing spree.
Okay. Have to go back and feed myself. Jeez, he's spamming right in our spawn area.
Killing spree.
Why?
Need a medic. Danke, I'm a medic.
They have repaired the tank.
Need a medic. Killing spree.
All these lights. How were they able to get this thing compiled
Dynamite planted.
so fast?
Shot.
Those lights are expensive.
Killing spree. Oh yes.
Huh? Huh? Okay, let's get that tank in the courtyard.
Tank barrier destroyed.
What? Fell to his death, right.
9.
Tank barrier destroyed.
We need an engineer.
Nope, not gonna do it. I'm staying medic.
We have damaged the truck.
We don't need the truck.
Great shot. Need a medic. Medic. Need a medic. Rampage.
Okay, there it is in the courtyard. That was fast. The tank is in the courtyard.
They have repaired the tank.
There it goes.
Truck
Killing
barrier
spree.
constructed. They are inside the courtyard.
Hey, don't push me, buddy. I'm busy. Reconnaissance. Getting information here. There it is. There it comes. Don't!
Hold your fire.
There it goes. I didn't get killed.
Hold. They have broken into the tank.
Reinforce the defense. Reinforce the defense. Killing spree.
Hmm.
I'm on offense.
Coming up to 20 more minutes here. And look at
Killing
this.
spree.
The match is barely, I don't know. Well, how's this? 30 minutes? So, yeah, we're like over 6 minutes.
Dynamite
They've
planted.
already gotten to the bank.
Killing spree. I'm on
They have
offense.
damaged the tank.
I'm on defense.
They have taken the
Oh.
first gold crate.
Go ahead.
Objective taken.
There you go. I got him.
Great shot.
Gold crate.
I
Objective secure.
didn't mean to kill him.
Truck barrier destroyed. Defended.
Ah, itchy.
Incoming.
You get itchy on your thumb.
Yes. Killing spree. Need a medic. Great shot.
Huh.
Incoming. Thank you. Sorry. You're welcome. Path cleared.
Hmm.
All clear.
I better throw some stuff on the ground. Throw some med
All
packs.
clear. Danke. Danke. Killing spree. Killing spree. Path cleared.
Huh? It's up there. All right. Thank you.
All clear. The enemy is weakened. Need a medic. Medic. The enemy is weakened. Incoming. Defend our objective.
He's back.
They have
Go.
taken the first gold crate.
Get that gold crate in the, truck. Can't even say it.
The second gold
Now he's got another one. Go.
objective taken. Objective secure.
Ah.
Second gold crate returned. Objective secure. First gold crate returned.
Mm-hmm.
Danke, sir. Need a medic. Auf Wiedersehen. Gut. Bye. Danke, sir.
All right. Waiting around.
I'm a medic.
They have taken the first gold crate. Objective taken. Killing spree. Objective secure.
Where to?
First gold crate returned.
Great shot. Attack. Affirmative.
Okay. We got this. No, we don't. 20 minutes. No way. 20 minutes to win.
Killing spree.
No way. No way we're going to win this. He's back.
Taken. They have taken the first gold
Go
crate.
into cover.
Objective secure.
Danke, sir.
First gold crate returned. That's my spotted. Get your command map.
Who's chucking nades from up there?
That's my spotted. Get your
Somebody is.
The enemy is weak.
Watch out there, Bumblebee.
The enemy is weakened.
Let's see.
Danke. Danke. You're welcome.
He's back again. He likes going through that side entrance.
Great shot. Affirmative. Incoming. Danke. Sorry. Bitte sehr. Great shot.
No medic.
Killing spree.
Danke.
Killing spree.
We need an engineer. We need
Yeah.
Killing spree. Killing spree.
Ah,
They have taken the first gold crate.
come on.
Killing spree.
incoming.
Get that gold crate in the truck, will you?
Objective taken.
Get the other one.
Gold crate returned.
What?
Secure.
Jeez.
Fire in the
I don't know if we'll be able to finish this. How many?
incoming.
15 minutes left.
They have taken the first gold crate. First gold crate returned. Objective secure.
I'm on defense. Affirmative.
It's just going to be like this.
Hello. Hi. Hello. Hello. We need an engineer. We need an engineer.
Now this is interesting.
Killing spree.
Is this a mistake?
We need an engineer.
Look at that. Look out, I'm looking at this mistake.
Bitte sehr. Danke
Is it like this on the other side? Oh, there is one like that. Huh. Is it supposed to be that way?
Good game. Oh yes.
Well, I guess maybe it is supposed to be that. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense because...
Killing spree.
Is that blended? I'm not sure if that's blended or not. I think that's just the texture. I ain't get out of here. Get blown up by some landmines. Pretty dead tonight, like always. Yeah. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's about the same as last week.
Yeah. I need ammo.
I'll just tap out there.
Great shot. Clear. Hold your fire. Incoming.
Objective taken. They have taken the first gold crate. Objective secure.
Eh.
First gold crate returns. They have taken the first gold crate. Objective taken.
Well, he did.
Secure.
That's the main. They blow the guy up with the Panzerfaust, but they don't blow up the gold crate with him.
Killing spree.
Somehow the gold crate survives the explosion. Or any other calamity, you know, a grenade or a knife. Yeah, it seems to survive pretty good.
Oops. Great shot.
Uh,
Sehr gut. Danke, sir. You're welcome. Need a medic. Sehr gut. I'm an engineer.
all right. We just have about 10 more minutes or so.
I'm constructing. Jawohl. I'm constructing. No. Go undercover. Danke, sir. Hello. Hold your fire. Great shot.
Killing spree.
Whoops.
Whoa.
Great shot.
Oh, does he need... Oh, wait a minute.
Hello. Hi. Great shot. Taking
Killing
fire.
spree.
Oops. Exit.
Oops. Oh.
Escort the vehicle. Danke. I'm an engineer. I'm a field gun.
Ah.
Imposing central bank. Can the Allies hijack an Axis tank and blast their way into the bank? Can the Axis repel these ram-raiding khaki bank robbers?
mine spotted.
Yanks,
Check your
Turks,
command map.
tanks, banks, trucks, gold. What will be the outcome? Only time will tell.
Great shot. Need a medic. Hello. 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 Hi. Hello. Great shot. Hello.
Well,
Yes. Hello.
doesn't look like the Allies are very successful now. Now they've completely slowed down. And so is the game.
I need ammo.
destructive.
Sehr gut.
NQ on a Saturday, the 25th Halloween. I don't know. Well, I think we should call it a night. It's just no sense going on a few more minutes. So, yeah, we'll just go ahead and call it a night, and then we'll see you for the model stream. So until then, yeah, be ready for the model building stream. Bring your glue and your clippers and your tweezers and your courage.